Hey there guys, real quick, this is the Elder Dadless, co-host of the Dadless podcast. Today, I'm here to tell you a little something about Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast, and let me go ahead and explain. First of all, it is free, there's no upfront cost, it doesn't cost anything. It's a great way to get started. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Literally, if you're on the go, if you're at school, if you are hiding in the restroom while you're at work, if you're stalking your ex-girlfriend, you can literally make a podcast from anywhere. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other streaming platforms. Hey, great way to get it out, right? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That means that your Uncle Randy, who was twice removed, can help you make a buck. Or creepy Father John, who you chose to stop talking to for many reasons, can even help you make a buck. It's that simple. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That is anchor.fm. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get back to the show.
Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good. What is this? Are you trying to trick me?
Wait, just wait.
When's it get good?
What's up there, little homie? About ready to do this?
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
In this world, if you can't swim, you found the dress out. And if you fall, you better pick your punk ass up. That's right. And the rest of y'all,
Wanda, the ready?
don't cut him no slack.
Hey, Freak Joe, you're going nowhere.
One.
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of lead time.
You got no backup here.
I'm calling Veronica. Veronica, give me a hand.
Y'all fools get busy.
3.
Clobbering time.
And we're back. Welcome to the Dallas podcast. I am the Elder Dadless, one of several. I am joined today by a lovely recurring host of the show, Jose the Dad. Hello.
Hello.
Before we jump in, shameless plug here. Today we'll be utilizing pod decks. I find it to be very helpful, especially when you don't have anything prepped. So with that being said, we are going to be doing almost like a Q&A, maybe like a 21 questions. Not quite 21 questions, but you get the gist of what we're saying.
Let's get answering.
Let's jump right in. What are your deepest values?
Sound like I'm gonna start my political campaign here. My deepest values. Alright, integrity, honesty, and, well, that's pretty much it. Just be honest. Don't be fake. Be the same person no matter who's around. That's me. That's what I try to do. That's what I like other people to do.
I would like to think my anus is my deepest value.
Oh, okay.
No. I am who I am. I am a simple guy. I don't know. I just, like I was telling Jose before we started recording this, if this could become a job, if this could keep us from ultimately being, fucking nose to the grindstone for the rest of our lives, cool shit, dude. Creativity all the way. But it's, I'd rather look up than look down.
Of course.
Keep dreaming, kids.
Well, that one was pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So let's get the next one here.
Next question. What website do you visit the most?
I visit Google the most.
Yeah, no shit. Google.
Google.com.
Google for fucking everything. Not porn.
From there, the results may vary, but Google is the starting point.
Google is the main channel. Where it goes from there, we choose our own way. What's one thing people buy that you think is a total waste of money?
I want to say Cardi B albums, but barring that, cell phones. I sell them for a living. I see people come in and buy a $1,400-$1,500 phone when they already have $8,000 phone, and there's very minimal upgrades, but you want to have the latest and greatest. Not to mention, a lot of phones are pretty similar, and a lot of the fancy techs and specs that you get in the high-end phones, you're not going to use all that power. So, I mean, yeah, people are spending a ton of money on phones. But if you walk into my store, I'm going to tell you how great they are and why you should get it.
I don't know. That's actually like a lot deeper than I would like to answer.
Right?
But that was meant for an interview. That was meant for like a proper sit-down interview.
Yeah, and to kind of, wrap that up really quick, it's just, it's kind of hard to answer that because I would think, spending $100 on a mascara is a waste of money. But then that person who bought that would say that me spending $100 on a video game would be a waste of money. So to each their own.
Yeah, basically, to each their own. I try not to buy video games. One, because they're so expensive, but two, I don't know how long I will actually enjoy them. There's very little. There's not many games over the past 4 or 5 years that like I've kept consistently, and when I do, it's like, it's not a total waste. Like I don't feel bad, but like they have to age well.
Yeah, I usually go half with my brother Daniel. We'll buy a game, split the cost, and I usually only buy 1 or 2 a year. A Pokemon release, a Mario release, or the occasional Assassin's Creed release. That's about it for me.
Well, that's why I appreciate things like like an Xbox Game Pass, or I know PSN has their, the same thing.
They have some decent games on there.
I appreciate things like that because it's like a consistent library that you can go back to.
Yeah.
Whereas, kind of like with The Sims, you buy The Sims for $49.99. The DLC, I think, I don't know if this is with current DLC, but at one point with current DLC, because it's constantly like revolving, it was up to like $1,200.
Oh, jeez.
And that to me is like, what the fuck? Whereas I would rather have something like Game Pass, download like Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, and it comes with all the DLC. Plus, whatever bonus shit, and you get both games for free.
I mean, look at Fortnite, you get that for free, but you got people spending hundreds on it. Skins and...
Yeah,
again, to each their own.
To each their own. It really is one of those things where it's more what, I don't know, I guess what you feel is a waste,
Yeah.
But that was a little deep. If you were a villain or a criminal mastermind, what would be your calling card?
My calling card. Explain.
Good example, the Joker leaves behind the Joker card, or the Riddler leaves behind a riddle.
Okay.
What would be your calling? I would like to think they'd be like, oh man, the mass fucking upper decker was here. But how do we know he really was here? And when you would go and flush a toilet, I would leave an upper decker and all the shit would come out. If you don't know what an upper decker is, if you take the top of your tank off of your toilet, you shit inside of that. So then when you flush the toilet, all that clean tank water that you just shit inside is then recycled into your bowl. So you go from having tank water to shit water.
Lovely. That is a great calling card. Let's see. For me, calling card, I would probably say I would leave behind a book. And then they'd be like, The Professor Strikes Again. And I leave those behind for the people whose Cardi B albums I have stolen and replaced with textbooks. Because those people clearly need to read the book.
But it still has the old checkout card in the back of the book, so it lists your name.
Oh man, hey, you got to start small. It's not going to be anything complicated. Keep in mind it's a Cardi B album, so they probably need something simple like Dr. Seuss books. Green
Hey,
Eggs and Ham.
maybe.
take a look at the basics of rhyming, and then you can go from there.
No, aside from the upper decker, at one point, I think I would have said, back when we were maybe like 15, 16, myself and one of our boys, Tony, we used to go tagging a lot, and we would go tagging at night, and definitely I would say
Allegedly.
so. Oh no, this happened. I don't give a shit. I'm almost 30. What do you do?
Statute of limitations.
At that point, I would say that a calling card would have been like a little tag or something that I would have left behind, or like a little sticker slap that I would have left behind, and it would have been like, oh man, it was him. But now it's like a dirty diaper, fucking
Right. Oh, I guess if
a receipt from Walmart.
If I were a dad, if we're going with the dad-themed villain here, then yeah, dirty diaper would be a good calling card. Oh, gross.
A sock, the one sock that you can't ever fucking find. Do you have a birthmark? If so, where?
I don't. Not that I know of.
I have a birthmark, but it is
On your ass.
I wish. It is somewhere much more intimate,
Ooh.
and I will leave it at that.
All right.
It is my anus. Quick tangent. I was watching a video the other day. It might have been like a Vice documentary. It was a documentary of some kind from maybe the early 2000s.
Vice likes the liberals and the demo rats. I ain't trying to listen to none of that.
And it talked about people making the pilgrimage from South America through Mexico up to the U.S., and it blew my fucking mind that a train filled with like Salvadorians came through somewhere in Mexico City, and you had Mexican farmers that were like, pinches mojados. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what am I watching? I was like, they're brown too. They speak Spanish. I was like, what the fuck do you mean mojados, dude?
I thought anything south of America was Mexico. You're telling me they got other countries down there?
It blew my fucking mind, bro. It blew my fucking mind that they were like, que se van a la chingada, pinches mojados.
I might let them Mexicans in.
I like them. I like them farmer types.
They can stand on the wall.
They can help build the wall from their side.
Sounds like we agree.
Have you ever had a this can't be happening moment? And what was it?
I think we all have those moments. This can't be happening. Let's see here. Yesterday, after driving back from Lake Tahoe, stopped straight at Target, and we made some pit stop. We stopped at Apple Hill. So, from the time I had my breakfast, my rather large breakfast, to the time I get to Target, it's probably about 12 hours. And I've been sitting on having to take a shit for probably a good 6 hours or so. And I'm in Target, and I want to go home.
But I also want to take a shit.
I need to take a shit. And we just got there, so I look over, and I'm like, hey, I need to take a shit. So, and I left my phone in the car, so now I'm going to have to take a no-phone shit. And so right there I'm thinking, this can't be happening. But then I get into the bathroom at Target, and both stalls are gross, so then I'm thinking this can't be happening. And then I take, full disclaimer here, I take the handicap one. Let's face it, they're nicer, they're roomier. So I get in there, and then another gentleman walks in. I'm like, this can't be happening. I can't shit with another
You got gun shy? You got gun shy?
Very gun shy. So then, you know what? I'm like, is he going to sit down and take a shit or what? Because I got to time this right. I have to be able to walk out after he's gone or before he gets out of the stall. I'm not making awkward small talk after I just fucking hit this dude with gunfire. So I take a piss. I call it good at that. I squeeze the cheeks. I think this can't be happening. Gotta rush through this Target trip.
one of the last warehouses that I worked at. The same thing, shit, and it always has to do with shit, dude. It always has to do with shit. Actually, I wouldn't even say this fucking warehouse because I've had worse. Back in 2012, right before my very first car finally, like, no pun intended, finally took a shit. I took it to a shop that was 20 minutes away from where I live. So I live in a town called Patterson. If you're not aware of who we are and you're not aware of like where we live, for the audience that is not in the know, I live in a town called Patterson. 20 minutes away, there's a smaller town called Newman. And I got a really good deal on a mechanic out there. I took my car, I had it towed out to Newman, and I'm like, bon, get back in my mom's car, and I start driving home. I take the back roads from Newman to Patterson. Shout out to all the Sandal Squad, because that's where they're all fucking from. All these fucking animals are from Newman.
Continue. You on them back roads, huh?
I'm on the back roads. I knew I had to take a shit, but I had one of those empty stomach shits where it finally hit me. I was like, I need to make it home. I'm 20 minutes away from my house. Please. And it was getting worse, like just by the minute being on the road.
Got that prairie dog sticking out the groundhog hole, huh?
Oh, dude, it wasn't even a prairie dog. It was like a fucking Grimer was coming out of my ass. It was reaching like its little sludge hand out and then just going back in.
That damn wall's about to break, brother.
And I'm screaming at this point, trying to like offset the pain in my stomach and the pain building in my asshole, because I want to make it home so that I could shit, dude. And it's just not working. And I'm yelling. I'm like screaming like a fucking monster. Like if you could picture a guy just driving by you like 80 miles an hour, and you just hear like ah, and I'm trying to fucking make it home, dude.
Hey, and then like just to consider, you just hear that,
and you're like, oh my god.
Like, when the smell catches up.
What did that guy eat? And I'm literally like 10 minutes from my house now, but I cannot hold it, dude. Like it's ready to rip out of my fucking body. And for people that are aware, that are familiar with the area, we have a sports park. It's called the sports park. It's out in Patterson. It's a park that sits at the edge of town, separating you from like the freeway. And I'm like, please God, forgive me for my fucking sins. I had a pullover. It damn near almost didn't turn off my mom's fucking truck, dude. And I ran into this godforsaken, desolate fucking park. I made sure no one was there. There were no fucking cars other than a guy that was like walking his dog. I was like, I hope this guy don't have to take a shit. I'm running into this restroom and I'm shitting. I know it's going to be bad. I'm anticipating the worst. I get into the stall. It's terrible. There's a fucking dead body in there. I proceed to just hover my fucking ass over the toilet, and I'm like, let the shit fall where it may. My tears don't fall, they crash around me, and I let the shit fall everywhere. I couldn't get a hold of the toilet paper.
No.
I could not get a hold of the toilet paper.
Where was the toilet paper?
I had to do the old reach around to the stall next to me.
Emotion you're familiar with.
While still, bowing my legs so that shit, like, doesn't fall anywhere else. And I happen to reach under, and I grabbed some of the toilet paper. I was able to wipe my ass. Minimal damage. But that was also my this can't be happening story, because I was out in the middle of fucking nowhere. If not this fucking park, it would have been just in the middle of a field in an orchard. I would have just shit my ass, wiped my ass with my boxers, left them there for the field workers to get.
Right, home commando.
And fucking ride off into the sunset. But luckily, I made it to this godforsaken fucking place. I was able to void my bowels and just went home, and I never spoke about it again until now.
Well, we spent for the longest portion of the episode so far talking about shit, literally. Right, what's the next one?
Local radio station or playlist?
Playlist. I understand that radio is
the devil.
Art. I mean, I like radio. It takes skill to be on the radio, but it is unfortunately a trade that is going to die off just because Spotify, Apple Music, streaming is the way now. And Why are you going to listen to the radio with commercials and a song you may or may not like when you can just hit shuffle on your playlist? Or if you want to listen to something new, hit the radio function on whatever app you're using and still listen without commercials. And if you don't like, you can skip. I think it's a no-brainer.
So, if I enjoy the radio, one thing I do enjoy about radio are radio personalities. Like you touched on. Radio is a dying art. It is dying out because of streaming services, but I enjoy shows like Bob and Tom.
Oh, Bob and Tom is good.
I fucking love Bob and Tom.
Those guys are great. I think they're out of Orville. Those guys are really funny.
I super enjoy Bob and Tom. There used to be another show. I was a kid though at this time, so I honestly don't remember what the show was. But
Violín por la mañana.
Oh, dude, Mexican radio still. I think honestly that's something that won't die with Spanish radio, because as a young Latinx male,
show yourself the door right now.
get the fuck out of my house.
You can leave.
Leave the podcast to me. No, growing up in like a heavily, like Spanish speaking household, especially with my grandparents, you grow up with like Sábado Gigante. Mexicans love fucking variety shows. And aside from variety on TV, variety on radio, aside from like music, when you have things like that, like alternate lanes of entertainment on radio, much like that, like Violín or, like radio hosts that bring a show. We're going to let the let out fucking at 6, but I want to hear Bob and Tom in the fucking morning during my commute. And this is like aside from podcasts, honestly, this is what got me from, radio ultimately into getting into podcasts, because even then, like, I enjoyed shows like that because I grew up with family members that listened to shows like that on the radio. And then it moved into like radio, but then radio lost like a taste. I lost a taste in radio because there wasn't anything good playing for me. And then eventually, like other than moving away from buying my own CDs and shit like that, once I was able to, like when I got into podcasting, or podcasts anyway, as a fan, like that's where I'm at now.
And I feel like a lot of those shows that we all enjoyed on the radio, or that people enjoy on the radio, will still be able to live on through podcasts. Like, I would be surprised. Do Bob and Tom have a podcast? They have to. If they don't, they'll get one if radio ever dies out. A lot of these, except for the Mexicans will be behind by like 5 years.
They'll be on the radio still. I wouldn't be surprised if Bob and Tom didn't have a podcast. There's plenty of radio hosts like on the East Coast that have podcasts. So I wouldn't be surprised if Bob and Tom didn't have a podcast. A good example is, like myself, I'm into like a lot of paranormal and supernatural. There's a show that's infamous in Mexico. It's called La Mano Peluda. And they deal in nothing but the paranormal and supernatural. It's almost akin to like a Coast to Coast, where people call in and they're like, oh, we bought this doll at a market and it's fucking possessed by a little girl. And it's just callers that are calling in and giving accounts of what's happening to them.
Juega conmigo.
Yeah. Well, dude, there's episodes where it's like, there's an episode, again, infamous. If you go on YouTube and you look this up, it's La Mano Peluda, La Caso de Josué, the case of Josué. And this guy recounts like this whole event where he ultimately was like looking to sell his soul to, gain wealth and whatever else. And he's recounting like just selling his soul and whatever else. But as they're playing this, like in the background of the fucking, of the episode, he's like, oh, I'm locked in this monastery with monks. And in the background, you hear like, roar, 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 and you're like, what the fuck's going on, dude? Like, I don't know if this is real or if it's fake. But things like that are really fucking cool. Aside from that, like to add on to that, as far as playlists go, I feel like you learn a lot about what people's interests ultimately are. Big example for that, if you go on the Dadless podcast on our Instagram, monthly, I ask the guys for a few music choices, whether it be an artist, an album, or a band, a group, whatever. And I throw it up there, and you kind of get a taste of who we are as a collective. I feel like you get a big sense of who someone is, and you can kind of get the vibe off of that, you know? So I think that's like playlists, aside from radio, playlists are, you know, you get a sense of who people are.
Shout out, you know, to BTS.
Shout out to BTS Army. Support BTS Army.
J-Hope is the bias.
I like Peter. He's cool.
Hey, but on the real, if there are any armies that end up listening, I'm a legitimate fan, so don't cancel us. I enjoy K-pop, so.
We love BTS. We love Caitlyn Jenner. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. I'll leave it at that.
I second all of those statements.
Yes. Moving on.
I feel like people won't be able to tell if we're being genuine or we're sarcastic assholes, but a little bit of both.
It's a comedy podcast. There's a lot of satire here. We won't pull the curtain back too much. You can kind of figure what we're joking on, you know, what we're joking about.
We just need to get a board with the sound effects, like on Family Guy. Weenie and the butt.
Boing.
Boing. Zinga.
That classic radio. Classic radio. In 40 years, what will people be nostalgic for? If I may. It hasn't even been 40 fucking years. I am stuck in the fucking 90s. I'm stuck in basically the years that molded me as a child based on influence. So a lot of it was like, I would say that the 80s, the coming to the close of the 80s, and then the 90s and 2000s. I'm very much stuck in that timeline. It's hard for me to move out of that shit. Like, it's hard for me to get into other things because of that.
You remember Purple Ketchup?
I do. And
I loved the Purple Ketchup. It was a little spicy, but it was, like, good.
And green, right?
Green was a Justice League one for the, it was like a Burger King thing or something, and then they had the Heinz Purple Squeeze or something like that.
I do remember that.
Good times.
Do you remember Dunkaroos?
Oh, I love Dunkaroos.
I love Dunkaroos.
Man, we just spent a whole episode talking about great 90s things. I watched a list, actually, last night. It was like top 10 shows that didn't age well. And these, can I say fuckers? These fuckers? Do we get canceled on any of our platforms? Will they pull us?
No.
Okay. These fuckers had the nerve to put Rocket Power on there. I'm like, let me hit you with the wiggity wiggity.
I can tell you, as a kid who grew up, as someone who was like very influenced by the skate culture of like the mid 90s into the 2000s, Rocket Power was a fucking game changer.
That Tony Hawk episode blew my fucking mind.
The fact that you had guys like Ray, and then you had the kids, you had fucking Squid, who was basically the kid who never was good at skating myself. But then you had Tito, and Tito was always the dad aspect, because he'd be like, I'm going to do an Oliver with a McTwist. And you were like, yes. Fuck yeah, he knows.
Hey, he made the hamburger hot dog, the hot dog and a hamburger.
Yeah.
I remember that one. That was like, I still eat those. If I don't have the corresponding bun to the corresponding meat, I'll put hot dogs in a hamburger bun, or I'll split a hamburger patty and put it in a hot dog bun.
Just make it a long patty.
Yep.
Burger King has that long patty.
Do they?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that fucking thing?
Oh yeah.
It's like on a hoagie. It's like on a hoagie bun, but it's
weird.
It's a long patty.
I remember that.
It's like, you know what it's like? If you're for all the Mexican people that listen, it's like a huarache. It's like a huarache, but it's fucking made of meat. There we go.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But yeah, in 40 years though, I would think, I don't know.
Nostalgic for screens, because in 40 years, Elon Musk will have already put the chips in our brains.
The Neuralink, yeah.
We're gonna revolt against Bill Gates, and then Elon Musk is gonna come around and say, "Hey, you don't want that guy to put chips in your brain. You want me to put chips in your brain."
2035, gas cars are gonna be banned in California.
We're gonna be nostalgic for the smell of diesel, or the smell of actual gas. Like, you know, when you pump gas and you get a drop or two on your shoe, and then you get in the car and all you smell is the gas.
It's just
like,
gas. Or just
the
feeling of a steering wheel in your hand. It's not gonna be any of that.
Oh yeah, you're gonna miss that too.
Fucking
the satisfaction of, you know, someone cutting you off and you fucking go into town and using all 13 of your forbidden curse words in one sentence.
like cock. Can't. Honestly, I would think that if as a society, if as a species, if we censored ourselves, if we allowed ourselves to be censored anymore, we're basically going to be making like we're going to be talking like speaking Simmerish to each other, or Simish with a Sim speak. We're going to be like Yazzle Gabbledore, because we're not going to be able to fucking talk.
That's true. And you know what? One more to get into this question real quick. We'll be nostalgic for the United States of America, because in 2040 or 2050, it will actually have become
The state of Jefferson.
That's going to be the USA still, the United States of Amazon. And we're all going to work for Amazon, and our pay is going to, we're not even going to get paid. We're just going to get Amazon account credits, and we'll use that for our Amazon groceries and our purchases and our Amazon cars that will not be gas powered.
No.
And Amazon and Jeff Bezos are going to strike a deal with Elon Musk and Tesla.
Jeff Bezos at that point will just be a brain sitting inside a floating jar.
Like Futurama, you know?
Yeah. The big brain?
The big brain from South Park that he had, you know, have you seen that one? So, you know, that's what we're going to be nostalgic for. We're going to be nostalgic for the United States of America when we're living in the United States of Amazon.
It'll be fun. Fun times. What's the last thing you took a picture of?
Let's take a look.
Let's find out.
Let's find out here.
Let's find out. That's my dick. No, I'm just kidding.
My son opening his birthday presents because it is his birthday today. Well, technically that's a video. The last picture I took was my son again, but this time literally putting himself in between my brother and his girlfriend, because I swear, he has a crush on my brother's girlfriend, and he macks on her any chance he gets. When we were at the pumpkin patch, he kept giving her pumpkins because he knew somehow she loves Halloween.
He's like, "What's up, baby? You want this pumpkin?" Well, fuck this guy over here.
Legit what he was doing, and I have the photo here to prove it. Homeboy.
What's up, girl? You want to wipe my ass for me?
Homeboy's got game.
It's like, "What's up? It's Mimi time. You want to put me to sleep?" My last picture, a picture that I actually took, I bought a Hulk face mask for my son because recently he's come into liking the Hulk.
And my son likes the Spider-Man. It looks like they will be pretty good teammates.
We actually now address him as Hulk. That's Hulk.
That's good.
We're like, let's go downstairs, Hulk, and he's Hulk. We're like, all right.
You know, it's funny because half the time we actually call my son Spider-Man, so it's funny. We're the Dadless podcast, but our sons have dads and present in their lives, so they'll have to start their own podcast, 20 years from now. We'll have Dadless podcast still, and they'll just have Dad podcast.
Dad podcast? Kids who have dads?
And they'll be our subsidiary.
Let's do some philosophy.
All right, let's hear it. I love philosophy.
This one's real deep.
All right.
This one's real deep.
All right, let's hear it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is true friendship?
Wow. That is deep.
Like my anus.
Thank you for complimenting the statement and giving us a true visual of how deep that question is. Well, true friendship. Try and keep it brief here, but I guess the gist of true friendship is genuinely caring for another person. And I don't think it has to be, a family member can be a friend. Your brother can be your best friend. Your significant other can be a friend. Whoever, it doesn't matter the relationship, but it can be a friend.
You keep that shit aside.
but true friendship, I think, basically you have that genuine care for another person, and we're human, so you're gonna have people mess up. You know, some people, like, I feel like kids these days are so quick to cut each other off and like ruin friendships. But I think basically two people caring about each other in just a mutual, care kind of way, and your bond is strong enough that it will overcome your human errors and your human mistakes, and you continue to share that bond.
I second that. I also agree that kids nowadays, I feel like it's a lot harder to be friends with people. I feel like kids are so used to like school relationships. And then aside from that, with like the introduction of social media and like how heavily the kids utilize it now. I mean, yeah, like MySpace was a fucking thing for us, but there was still also the feeling of like, yeah, we're friends at school, but we're also like breaking bottles behind a fucking supermarket after school. And like 12 years later, or however many years later, I could probably still call up the guys and be like, let's go break some bottles behind the fucking Save Mart. Except now we'd get arrested because we're adults.
Yeah, no, and I would second. I mean, and I also think that male friendships and female friendships have their different aspects. Like, guys, I don't know about girls. I haven't seen it myself, so this is just anecdotal. But guys can literally go a year, 2, 3 years without talking, and then you hit them up and you're like, hey, what's up? Do you want to hang out? Sure. And then you talk, or you don't even have to hang out. You just hit each other up. And guys can go years without talking, but when they do talk, no time has passed, and you still have that bond. And I don't know. I feel like guy friendships are just more simple. At least mine have been.
So I've always been the fat kid. I've always been kind of like the third wheel. I'm the friend that everybody has at school and outside of school when it's convenient, but I've never been like the best friend.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I got you. Best buddies.
But
fuck you, Thunder.
Fuck yeah, fuck you,
Thunder buddies.
Thunder buddies. I feel like I've had this journey as a kid where I've always had the same group of friends, and it's always basically been the same person, much maybe like Avatar, where there was, someone was always Avatar, and as they die and then they are reincarnated as someone else, like you go down that line, like My Hero Academia as well. You have One for All, and it's like it's passed down, and you see the lineage of that. I was always like the third wheel of the group as a kid. I was always the fat kid until I met my friends when I was I think we were like 13, 14, and these are now the same friends, my boys from the Vandal Squad, the Sandal Squad, as we so lovingly like to call ourselves. We've been friends now since we were 13, 14, and now all of us are almost 30, if not 30. We're all in the same age range, but it's like I think about, I had a moment a few months ago where my sister bitches about a lot of shit, but she's also like, I can't find any friends. And I'm like, you make chicken salad out of chicken shit. You constantly surround yourself with people who don't give a fuck about you. They're only down to hang out with you because of one certain thing. And it's like, hey, do you smoke weed? Hey, do you smoke weed? I have money. I will buy weed if you come and hang out with me and smoke. And it's like, okay, I guess we're friends now. Fuck no.
And true friends will have more than one bond. Like if you meet someone and you bond over liking the same team, but you have no interest outside of that same team, or you bond over a band but you have no other interest outside of that, it's kind of almost like, I want to say like a fake friendship or like a surface friendship. True friendships, you can be like, I have an example. I like K-pop, others in the group will probably say it's trash, and it's like, that's cool. Or, you like this and I like that. It doesn't matter. True friends, that they'll rip on each other. They'll still be friends, and it won't matter what you like because it's the person that's the friend, not the interests that matter.
I would chalk it up to like a big example for me. Aside from my friends, when I first got with Renee, and she's like, I'm gonna introduce you to my family, and I'm like, oh well, no one's gonna like me. But then it's like, I guess like an example would be like when you start vibing with people, and it's like the first thing you hear is like, you play Pokemon or what? You like anime? And then like all of us like at one time are turning our heads and like, you like similar things? And that's like, we became almost like a direct for me anyway, we became a direct translation of the friends that I had growing up, like all through, like high school and shit.
Yeah.
And now outside of that, going into like adulthood, it's like now I've met people that it's basically the same thing. Like I don't feel a difference in whether it be like I have two different group chats on Instagram. It's my friends from high school, and then it's you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, but again, to touch on what Jose's saying, it's like true friendship very much is
connections between people.
Yeah.
And those connections can be built through similar interests, but a true friendship, once that connection is made, that connection will stick regardless of whatever else is around it.
Yeah, there you go. I'm a moron.
I'm just an author, I got the way with words.
That's where he knows what he's saying.
The great communicator.
Do acts of kindness have a motive?
Oh, I love this. Okay, so acts of kindness. A lot of people will do something nice, and some people will do it for show. Other people will say, they won't do it for show, but it can still be considered selfish because they do the acts of kindness because it made them feel good. Would you have still done that act of kindness if it didn't make you feel good? And that's where I'm not going to get into specifics because it takes away from it, but I have done things where it was the right thing, and it didn't necessarily make me feel good, because it's like, it was an inconvenience or something. I did it because it was just the right thing, and even though I didn't want to do it, I still did it, and I don't brag about it, I don't talk about it, I don't go home and say, oh, you know what I did today, I did this, because I think a true act of kindness has to be selfless. So you can't post it on social media, to get likes. You can't do it only because it made you feel good. You have to do it because it's the right thing, and you should do it whether someone is watching or whether you'll take it to the grave with you and no one will ever know what you did.
I agree. I can't add much to that, but that's in a nutshell. Honestly, that's a really good explanation. I honestly don't want to fuck that up. That's really good.
All right.
Cool.
Like I said, great communicator.
Do we control technology, or is technology controlling us?
Both.
Yes.
Humans build the technology. We use the technology. But oftentimes... No, you know what? I'm going to... In the middle of saying that, I changed my mind. I'm going to say that we control technology, and people that would say technology controls people. It's not the technology controlling people. It's just people not having control over themselves. If you are on your phone so much that you can't put it down to look while you cross the street, that's not technology controlling you. That's just you not having control of yourself.
I would say that there is a sense of, although we do control technology, we do utilize like let's say in a professional aspect, if you're working in a warehouse, you are utilizing a software to measure analytics or to measure and gauge, what you're doing, to not hinder your performance. But we're also easily susceptible. I'm a moron again. We're also easily susceptible.
Hey, I don't care about your religion.
L'chaim. We're also easily susceptible to becoming like the host for, like, you look at people who basically become controlled by their social media. Like, you have people that, on the dot, on the hour, by the hour, or however that saying goes, have to make a post, or have to shoot a fucking tweet, or have to throw up a status, or, you're utilizing, one means of communicating to ultimately, like, have to keep doing it. You fall prey to this, it almost like an entity, that it's not tangible per se, but it's like, yeah, you fall prey to your fucking phone, because it's like it goes off and you're like, oh man, my your Clash of Clans alert goes off at 3 a.m. and you're like, fuck, I'm being raided. You fall prey to these things that you yourself are subscribing to, like religion. But again, it's a little touch and go from either side. It's
and I think, you are right that, some people, it becomes like an addiction. I guess you could compare technology to drugs. People get so sucked in and they can't put it down. And I found myself that way, and I think we all do. I found myself where, one of my kids might have asked for a drink or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, hold on just a second, because I'm finishing something on my phone. And then a few minutes later, hey, what about that drink? And then I'm like, wow, I'm really putting my phone above my kids right now. And so I really do try actively to not be hooked to my phone. And I've gotten to the point where I can leave my phone and not have to have it with me when I go to the store, or not have to have it with me if I leave the room. I can leave my phone, or my phone can be dead, and I'm not stressing over having a charger. Just because I've seen what it can do to people, and working in a T-Mobile store, I see people literally controlled by these things to a fault. And so my line of work has kind of helped me take a step back, but a lot of people don't get that. And so, I would agree. I think after hearing that point of view, yeah, technology can't control people, but we also have to hold ourselves accountable and not let it control us. We have to have control over ourselves.
I can dig it. As we start to wind down now into the final questions of the episode, again, shameless plug, Poddex. Thank you, because this is very much a tool that I am now utilizing to produce an episode of our podcast. Shameless plug. Hey, Poddex, thank you.
Hey, you know what? It's been a very, very good episode. I've enjoyed this one, I think, the most so far.
It's cool. I enjoy it. I enjoy it because I feel like right before this, the past week that we've been trying to get together, I'm frantically trying to just look into different things that I have kind of set aside that I do want to commit a good amount of time to. Which shout out to my boy Mondo. He put me on some fucking real gang shit that I'm looking into that seems really fucking interesting, and I'm hoping that we can get to it at some point. But for now, this was easy.
Yeah, and it's actually helping me out because I think I may actually utilize it for a shameless plug here, my YouTube channel. I've been thinking about, hey, what can I do a video on? And then I don't have anything, or I think, I want to do this, but it's going to take too long to put together, and so I don't do it. And something like this can really just help throw videos out just to get the, the ball rolling again. Dad entertainment on YouTube. only 2 videos so far. I promise I will get back to regular posting here very soon.
The Cobra Kai audio and video are available on the Dad Entertainment channel and on the Dallas Podcast streaming channels wherever you listen to your podcasts. As we wind down again, have you ever had a run-in with the law?
One, and well, no, that's like 2, and I damn near shit my pants both times. I was not a very troublemaker. I was a troublemaker, but I was like class clown troublemaker. Like, I would just, roast a teacher or make some jokes and, get some laughs. But actual trouble, I have not really had to experience. Both times were with the police. Both times were for going a little fast in my vehicle. The first time, funny story, pulling out of the Save Mart parking lot, just pulling out of the parking spot, and I'm in the car, and my sister tells me, floor it, or something along those lines. I'm like, bet, and they're like, you won't, no balls. I'm like, oh yeah, watch this. So I fucking peel out, I go hella fast in the parking lot, and I have to slam on the brakes to stop, and because I have to slam on the brakes to stop because there's a stop sign and there's a vehicle coming, well, that vehicle is a cop, and he doesn't turn his lights on, but he pulls up next to me, rolls his window down, tells signals for me to roll my window down, he's like, do you know where you are? I'm like, the parking lot. He's like, do you need to go that fast? No. He's like, slow down, man. I'm like, yes, sir. Thank you for sparing my life, sir. And I became such a little bitch. I was super hyped up, super Mr. Big Ball. I'm like, yeah, watch this. And then the second the cop stops me, I'm like, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you, chef. And then the second time I got pulled over for speeding, 75 and a 55, but the 75 turns into a 55, so it's kind of a little unfair, but whatever. I was afraid I was going to go to jail because I was going 20 over the limit, and that could be reckless driving. And the cop was kind of laughing at me because I was sweating it, so she's like, dude, it's just a speeding ticket. I've had one myself. Just show up to your court date, you'll be fine. I'm like, thank you, sir. And then I left. So, yeah, that's it for me. I'm a little bitch when it comes to the law.
I've had several run-ins with the law. There are 2 that just off the top of my head I think of a lot when I do think of getting pulled over. One of them, when I was 13, I went to a local festival in our town, and I accidentally
Apricot Fiesta.
Yes, Apricot Fiesta, and I accidentally bumped into a I don't know what you call it, a mounted cop, a cop on a horse. And I was like, oh, sorry about that. And he was like, what, are you not watching where you're going? And mind you, I'm 13. I'm like, no, I was messing around. And he was like, maybe you should have messed around. And I was like, sorry about that. And I don't know what the hell happened that he's like, you want to see a trick? And I was like, yeah, okay. He had his horse step on my fucking foot.
No.
And it broke my foot.
What the fuck?
And being that I was 13 and that this happened, I hid it from my family.
Uh-huh.
And I said I got hurt at school because I just didn't want to get in trouble. But it's years later, I'm like, this motherfucker just because I bumped into him. I'm like, first of all, yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry. I was a kid, and I apologize to a cop, obviously, because I'm still in maybe middle school or something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this motherfucker made his horse step on my fucking foot. Aside from that, some years later, I have my license. I'm driving with my friends. I pulled out of a parking lot and I corrected myself. I was going to turn right. I was going to make a right out of the parking lot. And then mid turn, I was like, oh shit, I have to go left. And I turned. And as I started, making my way down the street that I was trying to go towards, the cop hit his lights on me and he pulled me over at a stop sign. And as he approached the car, he came up with his hand on his gun and he was like, put your fucking hands up. Everybody in the goddamn car. and none of us knew why. And so we all put our hands up, and he was like, "You guys are making me fucking nervous." He's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "We were buying soda at the fucking store, dude." And so he had his gun. At this point, he takes out his gun. He had us at gunpoint. And it was my boy Steve in the back. He's like, "The fuck do you have in your hands?" And my friend Steven was like, "I was blowing my nose." I had my friend Lewis next to me, and he's like, "What the fuck do you have?" And he was like, "I have a soda." And he's like, "And what the fuck is that?" And I was like, "It's an Arizona green tea. It's really good." And
Humor's a really good tool to diffuse tense situations.
but he, I don't, and it wasn't really that late either, because we were still at that. We were going to my friend Steve's house to go pick up some stuff. It was maybe like 9:30, 10. And he's like, "You guys are making me like real fucking nervous, and I don't like that." And so he called another cop. The other cop gets there eventually, and they take us out of the car, and they look in the car, nothing there. And he's like, "You guys are over here, driving." I don't know what the fuck he said. Erratically. But he said something else. He made like a smart ass remark to it. But basically, yeah, that we were driving erratically. And I was like, "No, I made the wrong turn. I was gonna go one way, and I should have went this opposite way, and I just corrected myself, like, sorry." And so that was it. He didn't give me a ticket or anything, but it's like he pulled his fucking gun on me.
And here's real quick, not to get too crazy into it, but I think being a cop is too easy to do. It's like 6 months of training, and so any failed high school quarterback, any small town racist, anybody, pretty much anybody, if you can stay committed for 6 months or a year, you can become a cop. You go through the academy. Some require some kind of school, but the point is, it's way too easy to be a cop, and so you get people who get nervous at a bunch of kids in a car drinking a soda, and that's how you end up with these hashtags and these big national movements. And so, police are needed. You do need some kind of order, but it needs to be harder. You need to be more qualified. You can't become a cop after 6 months. I just think it's too easy, and it needs to be a little more difficult.
Yeah, to my understanding, there's a lot more rigorous training that goes into like people that are in the military. There's a lot more stringent training that applies to them than what goes into people that are police. But it's like, it's neither here nor there. I've had a few run-ins like that are just real, like, fucked up. Like, looking back on it now, like, if this movement was going on, like, when we were fucking 17, 18, the same shit. But, I digress because I'm a fucking adult now. And it's like, at this point, because I'm, like, a dad, and I'm, I don't do anything to fucking get pulled over, it's, as long as I avoid things like that, it's like I'm fine, I guess, until the situation fucking occurs. And then, even then, like, I know pretty well how to behave for a fucking officer of the law.
Yeah, it sucks, and you can either, as bad as it sounds in those situations, you can either be right or you can be alive. The right thing is you shouldn't have to, kiss ass to get out of the traffic stop or whatever. But at the end of the day, honestly, like, just, say yes, sir, keep your hands on the wheel or whatever, or off the wheel, but hands up. Just do whatever to make them not nervous, because right now, people that shouldn't be cops probably are cops, and if you want to just get through it, just get yourself through it. And you can make your point after, you can fight the good fight after, but get through the initial, interaction.
Just try to get yourself on with your day, let them get on with their day, you get on with your day. But that's it.
All right,
that is the episode.
Man, it's a fun. We gotta do that again, because I want to keep going, but it's a late night version of the podcast tonight. So.
Yeah, we worked with what we had, but ultimately, I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm glad that me and Jose finally got to fucking get back to recording again. This was fun. It was fun. Again, plug, Poddex, go and check them out. If you do have a podcast, if you do have a channel, a YouTube channel, if you're streaming on Twitch, if you have some kind of prospective project going on, Poddex is great. Utilize it. This is what we did, you know, the whole episode, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. Aside from that, check out Jose's YouTube channel, Dad Entertainment. He also has his Instagram up. Again, Dadless Podcast. We're on Instagram. You know, all the streaming services: Google, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Also, we are now featured on Amazon Music, I believe, is what you would go and look for us too, because now they're featuring podcasts as well.
Another step closer to the US of A.
Another step closer, you know, where we slowly but surely, like I always, you know, say, it's more about the I would much rather apply ourselves creatively and it just be a slow fucking burn than, you know, trying to, you know, be like overnight fucking sensations, because realistically, I mean, you know, you can only do so much. But again, I am the Elder Dadless, Jose.
The dad.
And this is the Dadless Podcast. Thank you guys. Check out our channels, all our affiliate channels, all our socials. And, you know, look for us again soon. Someplace at some time. Somewhere. Alrighty. Good night, sir.
Buenas noches.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Who are you, really?
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Come for me, Gmork! I am a traitor!
You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed.
Offer me everything I ask for. Anything you want.
I want my father back, you son of a bitch. I am your father.
That's my son! This is my boy! My boy! That's impossible!
You're laughing. Someone was killed today because of what you did.
I know. How about another joke, Murray?
Fuck you. None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you.
You're locked in here with me!
It's still not over. I understand your pain.
Actually, we're all tickled to hear you say that.
You shall have your revenge. Iron Man. Good night. And always remember, that's...